Great. So welcome. Thank you everybody for joining us for our Channel Marketing Academy already September 2022 group chat. We really appreciate that. So our topic this time to get us started after the summer break and get our creative juices flowing is non-mainstream marketing strategies that channel marketers are experimenting on. So I personally think it's pretty amazing that these three are willing to kind of share some of their competitive secrets with the rest of us, so that we can hear what's working outside the traditional. So first, maybe if we start with introductions. Khaled, do you want to go first? Let us know, and then Tanya, then Amisha.
Sure thing. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Anya. Definitely great to be here. My name is Khaled. I'm the head of marketing at Binary Stream. Been in the space for the past few years and excited to share some knowledge and pitfalls to look out for, so you don't have to make the same mistakes I made.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Tanya Kaczynski. I'm the Global Marketing Director at Bamboom Cloud. I have been in at Bamboom for almost a year now, and before that I was at another ISV VAR in the channels. So it's been about 15 years now that I've been there. So this classic joke, I started when I was 15. So I hope you guys are not so good at math. And great to be here. Usually I'm asking the questions instead of answering them. So I'm excited and nervous to be in the hot seat. And maybe Anya, we can switch halfway through the presentation.
Okay. And Amisha?
I like that idea, Tanya. Hi, I'm Amisha Gandhi. I run marketing for Tipalti. It's a finance operations company. We do everything from global payments to accounts payables. I've been at Tipalti for almost 2 years now. And prior to Tipalti, I worked at a small software company that you all may be familiar with called SAP. So definitely been in the channel, been all about the channel, both ecosystems, both at Tipalti and SAP. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so let's dive in. We've gotten a couple ideas from each of you, so we'll just kind of go round robin. Tanya, do you want to start and tell us some non-traditional tactics that you've tried and what made you try them?
Sure. So I think for us, the most impactful or one that worked is we were having issues with our website. So it wasn't converting. We were getting this traffic, we were spending all this money, and I'm really good at spending money, but I like to get something out of it. So we were working with our agency and it wasn't converting, and we couldn't figure out why. We kept tweaking the messaging. So we actually went with a firm who specializes in B2B messaging. So they do focus groups. We see this a lot in B2C where they're like, what do you think about this? Insert product name here, and then you talk about it. But we don't see that as much in our industry, little like in B2B, and even less in software. So for us, it was eye-opening to hear back from these firms. So you kind of make a shopping list of what kind of target market you need, and then they will write in their information. And it was gold. Seriously, things that you had no idea people were thinking, or I never went there. We're all in the ERP Microsoft space. So acronyms, we say them by the boatload, and we just assume that everyone knows what we're talking about. So it was really interesting and really did help our conversion afterwards. So for us, so I guess my non-traditional is that messaging in a B2B space is just as important, and look for those focus groups because it really does give you the nuggets of information. It was information gold for us.
Yeah. And I know you were nice enough to share some of that information with me. I thought it was very, very interesting what people in the audience understood, didn't understand. And I even signed up to be one of their focus group people. So I think I got $50 or something from them. Not on your account though.
I was like, yeah, because I'm like, you're not a small business in
Exactly.
the in our target markets. But no, it's very interesting. We just did another one actually. It's not that expensive compared to, let's say, a trade show or anything like that. So anyone ping me afterwards, I can tell you more information about the company, because it's well worth it.
Great. All right, Khaled, what was something that you tried, some non-traditional tactics?
Well, having a marketing department was a huge shift. For us, I think a lot of partners really underinvest in marketing and overinvest in sales. But if you talk to anyone, you know that going through customer is so important now. But honestly, one of the main things that we did was investing in our partners. We're primarily an ISV, we're indirect. So providing a lot of education enablement was key. You know, the way I describe it is it's like a chart. I'm an economist by practice, so I have to make it an economic equation. But for me, I thought about it as a scale of maturity and excitement. And if your partners or customers don't have the right level to be in that top right quadrant, they're not going to do anything, because if they're not selling or if they're not buying, it's either because they're not mature enough in terms of their understanding or they're not excited enough. So we did try some more things, like more ad retargeting for customers to continue educating them, providing more video case studies in bite-sized formats so we can educate them on the go, and people are consuming content all the time. That worked really well for us. And using the partners as our main channel to continue empowering them. I have 14 people working on channel enablement, and they're just creating content for partners that they can consume for free. It's just going to be an extra channel for us. So that really helped to just have more and more content available, but also really understand our customer base and know how we can push them intentionally to that top right quadrant.
Great, thank you. I think a lot of companies don't spend enough time educating their partner channels, so it's nice that you went the extra mile for that. Amisha, what would you like to add to this conversation about non-traditional tactics?
I think when we think about marketing, right, we're always the storytellers of the company, right? And how do we connect with our audience and help, for sales, right? And also with our partners, and how do we connect everybody together, engage them? And I think one non-traditional way of engaging folks and also increasing, kind of your reach into your own audience is working with influencers. So influencer marketing, but it's not influencer marketing for social media. It is really bringing influencers in to the mix. So those could be analysts, publishers, bloggers, podcasts. They can also be consultants, business consultants, people in your business, the persona, for us, it could be like CFOs as well. So the persona, actual personality that are well known, right? There's people that are speaking, there are people that have their own channels and they have their own communities. So, bringing those folks into your marketing mix to help you tell your story better. Also, they have an audience that they're bringing with them. So being able to engage with their audience, also expand reach, and it really brings authenticity to you. It also helps you build credibility with a larger audience. So you have to be open also to hearing feedback from influencers to how they can help you build your programs. And the way I look at influencer marketing is, like I said, the social media buzz is great. We're in B2B. It's not how we're going to sell. It's always nice from a brand lift perspective. But I really think of using, and having influencer marketing become part of my marketing mix throughout all the customer touch points, especially even in demand gen, in ABM, in a way that you can't really do credibly because you're the company selling a solution or a product or what have you, right? But they can help and engage your audience and really bring, issues and things that your audience is thinking about, and creating those discussions on your behalf.
Very interesting. And Amisha, can you share with us, how did you track and measure the success of that influencer marketing?
That's a really great question, right? Because then it's always, did it work? Was it worth an investment? What was the ROI? So, we did our campaign those that we did last year here at Tipalti was around IPO, because we're a finance company. So we, did a whole campaign around companies going IPO, high growth companies. And we brought some influencer videos in. We also co-created other deeper levels of content. We did webinars. So it was, through the different touch points of the campaign, and we gave them all their own UTM codes. So when they were promoting it, we were able to track which influencers not just promoted, but also drove, more of the results, and having those links and being able to track just like you would a regular campaign, and, the traffic volume that went up on certain days, and being able to correlate that with the campaign became part of the mix. And we were able to see, a similar campaign, how this campaign did better. We had better engagement. We had longer watch times. We had a higher level of, and better quality of leads that came out from it. So those are the things that we look at. And then we look at the ROI of which points that we worked with influencers in the campaign work better. Was it the webinar? Was it the video? And that really helps you determine what you're going to do next time with your audience.
Very nice. Thank you. Tanya, did you have another one to share with us? And keep in mind, you don't have to always only share ones that worked. If you had anything that didn't work, that was still creative, you're welcome to share that as well.
Yeah, I started with the positive, and maybe I can talk more about one that didn't work as well. We tried TikTok. I definitely am not of the TikTok generation where I don't know how the TikTok works, but they convinced me that all I had to do was point, and then they were going to do this whole campaign around me, and words and all these funny things were going to come up. And the reason why we tried this was we don't take ourselves seriously all the time, even if we're in the B2B and we're selling software, which is maybe a little more square, doesn't mean that we have to be. And it was really to help us increase engagement and try to get a different type of person. We noticed that in today, it's getting younger. The people who are making the decisions are getting out there, and we're trying to capture that demographic too a bit. But yeah, did it bring us anything? No. Did it help have a little more of a blip on the radar that week? Sure. But kind of to your question before with Amisha, how do you track this? It's a long-term game trying to have those kinds of contents coming in and out. And I think what I learned is it takes a lot more time than we think it does. And it has to be something that you do consistently. And if you don't already have a consistent calendar of cute, quirky videos coming out, or if you don't have someone who's really ready to put themselves out there every month, it's a blip on the radar. And if you can't do it consistently, it's kind of like banner ads in the early 2000s. If you just have an ad once, well, no one's going to see it. You got to keep it. You have to have something more consistent. So can't say that it worked well. Did we get some stuff? Yeah. But if you want to really try it, you have to do it more consistently, and have that plan already out before you even get started. So, or else you just have someone pointing at words, and people thinking that you know the TikTok when you don't.
Good, thanks. And sometimes I think we do, as marketers, want to try all the new things, and we end up spreading ourselves too thin. So that's good advice, that if you can't really focus on it, maybe give it a pass. So Khaled, what's another one that you tried out?
Yeah, thank you. I think maybe I'll double click into the same one, but it does tangentially connect. Not mentioning our products. I think very often we're so excited to talk about ourselves and say, look how great we are. No one cares. I'm telling you, everyone here probably knows about Man, but not a single CFO wakes up and thinks, oh my God, I need to manage my intercompany transactions. That's not at all what they're thinking about when they wake up. They're thinking, how do I grow my revenue? How do I save time? You have to get to the gist of it and then pull them in. We grew our traffic 15 times in a year and a half just by amplifying our content that was actually educational. And actually our new content manager used to teach. And I thought her background was so relevant to B2B, but that ended up being such an awesome weapon for us, because it was not approaching it from the traditional standpoint of thinking you have to get them to that piece about how the content's going to help, how the solution's going to help you right away. So that helped a lot. And I think video helped us too, but really things that didn't work, similar to Tanya, we did try out things that were maybe a bit more exciting, but it is sometimes hard and you have to kind of test it. I think for us, we are a very value-driven company, so we don't tend to like overinvest until we have some of the proof. But we have had campaigns where the retargeting is not exactly right. If you're just messaging to a huge stream of industries and you're not really nailing down that message, you're not actually activating that latent need. I think a lot of like getting the CFO, getting the like internal influencers, to Amisha's point, that people like a COO who is not directly in the finance department, but is pushing for those decisions, knowing how to activate their needs is a bit of a challenge, but you can't go too generic, because then the message is lost and you're probably marketing for your competitors instead.
Interesting. So what were the exciting things you tried that didn't work? Do you mean different types of videos?
Yeah, definitely different types of videos, but I think the retargeting itself was the challenge. Like we tried 15-second ads on LinkedIn. Honestly, LinkedIn ads are really fantastic sometimes, but other times, if you don't have your audiences nailed down, they're just gonna burn through your budget with no results from my experience. So you have to know the entire campaign. And like Tanya said, it's not just the one blip. Like you can't just push them to one blog and that's it and leave them forever. You have to know the follow through is so important. So for us, when we were a team of 3, we didn't have the cycles to push them all the way through. We would just like create activation and kind of fizzle out, and the people that stuck. But now we have the bandwidth to actually grab each person and knowingly push them to that top right quadrant, where we know, oh, this person's like X on the maturity scale, and we have real numbers that we give them, and this much on the engagement. Like if someone puts that they're a student one time on our website, they get -500. I like banish them completely, because I don't want students that are trying to learn about accounting. I have a lot of educational content, but that doesn't mean that I want to be an educational website. And I think that you'll only kind of figure it out with experience and trying out the different campaigns. So no like tears for the lost budget that we had on those ads. It's a good learning experience.
Great, thank you. Amisha, is there another non-traditional tactic that you guys tried?
Yeah, I mean, it was, we did a interactive video asset this year for one of our campaigns, and we just thought, wow, this is going to be incredible. It's going to drive engagement. And, you know, the one thing that we, you know, didn't take into account is, you know, we think it's great. We were kind of pushing ourselves in a area where, you know, we don't traditionally talk about, just to make it more exciting and more relevant in the world of, you know, creator economy. And we found that it worked with such a niche audience, it wasn't big enough, right? We went very deep, but it wasn't a broad enough audience for us to really drive what we had put out, right? So, but it gave us good indication on whether people would like this kind of asset, what we could do better, where they clicked, where they didn't click, how long we kept their attention. You know, I think part of what the learning was that the educational part of it did very well, but as soon as we got into our solution, there was a huge drop off. So people were feeling like they're being sold with some of the feedback. So we know, hey, this type of content really works well with our audience, but then there's a huge drop off if we start getting too quickly try to turn it into, you know, we want it to be mid-funnel content. So we should have just kept it as top funnel and then made an offer that was more mid-funnel at the end. So that was a learning that we took away from creating that asset.
Interesting. And you must have very, very good analytics to be able to look at all that data as well, which sounds very valuable.
We have lots of data. We all have data, but then it's, you know, which one do we use? And then some of it's directional also, right? Because it's not an exact science, right? I think we always want to remember that marketing is still an art and a science. So there's both, you have to do both. If you just base everything on data, then you're going to not have any emotionality or humanity to your marketing programs. If you do too much art, then it's just not baked in reality, and you want to know what's working, what's not.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So I know Tanya has a few more, but I would love to encourage the audience to put in your questions. We have 3 very experienced marketers here who are opening the kimono, so to speak, bearing their souls. So, ask some questions in the chat or even unmute and ask a question. So Tanya, another one, did you want to tell us about?
Sure. This one was more of a surprise. We didn't think anything of it. It was at the start of the pandemic, and we weren't sure how to reach. It started actually as something for internal, just to kind of get our employees going. So we were like, oh, let's do a virtual egg hunt, because usually we give at Easter, everyone gets a chocolate bunny. No one was really there yet in regards to shipping things out. It was really early in the pandemic. So what we did was we started building out these pages, and you had to go find the Easter egg on the different pages. And we were having a lot of fun doing it. And then we're like, well, how much more effort is it to send out an email to our clients and tell them, like, well, go try and find the eggs, and they'll read the website at the same time. We thought we'd get maybe 1, maybe 2. We're like, we had like over 20 people write back to us. They found all 10 eggs. One lady was like, oh, I couldn't find egg number 9, so I drew one for you. You're like, what the heck? You really don't expect things like that to have that much of a impact on people getting involved. But kind of like influencers, bribery and games, everyone loves that. Doesn't matter which industry you're in. That was something that worked out really well for us. And usually clients are pretty complacent for kind of getting them to do something. They're used to having their salesperson, their sales contact them, or they'll contact directly if there's anything. But to actually peruse time on the website and look for 10 different eggs, it was really cool to see. And that gamification, we underestimate how much in a B2B environment that stuff works. There's still people who like doing fun things in the background. So that was a surprising one for us.
Hi, very, very interesting. And I think, Tanya, you had one more about LinkedIn hijacking. Can you tell us that while we're on you?
Sure. So I guess we were very excited to win Partner of the Year this year for BC, but we had to figure out how to break that way of getting the message out there. LinkedIn's algorithm keeps changing all the time. Just sending out a standard press release, that doesn't, putting it on a blog for it to die somewhere, that wasn't how we were going to show our excitement on what we wanted to do. So we sent everyone a hoodie. So we bribed. Everyone who knows me, bribing is one of my top marketing things to do. We said, if you take a picture of yourself in the hoodie saying that we won Partner of the Year, you get to keep your hoodie after, or else we're gonna take that $50 out back from you. We weren't going to, but threatening works as well. And I'm sure people thought we were super obnoxious on LinkedIn, but that's okay. We got our word out, and it created this community internally as well of how can people do something silly without being too silly about it. And so it had both effects. And our engagements on our website went up, the number of ads we had, because it's a small Microsoft community. We all know each other. There's no seven stages of degrees of Kevin Bacon. Thank you. There's like maybe 2. So that really helped build our awareness of what we're doing in the market as well. So it works. Did it get us a sale? Who knows? Like, I think that is hard to stick a UTM on that one. It was kind of tricky, but we put out all the blurbs for everyone, and we were able to kind of get to see what the engagement was after that. So those are just some of the things that we don't take ourselves too seriously, but allow us to get the good word out there.
Yeah, I definitely saw your LinkedIn hijacking. That
Mhm.
was kind of fun. So Khaled, you had also mentioned earlier bite-sized case studies. Was that something different you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also add another thing after it, if possible. But
Yeah.
I think the case studies really worked super well for us because we created this workflow that was so easy for the customers. They did not need anything. They just needed their phone, basically, and they were making the videos for us. They were getting remote direction. We would just call them on Teams, get them to record themselves talking to us, and then we would spin that into a written case study, into bite-sized ads, and it would just be like, this specific use case gets this specific solution. This is the ROI. And it's very easy to make sure that you have the message right because it's three things. And really, we learned this from Microsoft. If you look at how Microsoft positions like the sales plays, for example, optimize finance, they will show you Chipotle. They will tell you Chipotle wanted to modernize the way that they're selling. And this is exactly the ROI. And everyone knows it. So I think for us, just getting into that mentality of knowing the different cases that we have allowed us to get outside of the traditional thinking of, do you have like, in the past, we would get this question a lot. Do you have someone in Florida that uses MEM on GP and is in the franchising industry? And we would have to scramble and find that person. But I think if you position it instead in terms of what business value they were trying to drive, you can both make it a bit more concise and turn it into an ad for you because you're getting the like good word from the people that are using it. It actually got so good that I've used it in one of my sessions. We were talking about Directions North America just now. During my session there, instead of me just showing up and saying, hey, look at my Binary Stream logo, I'm going to tell you about how great Binary Stream is. No one's going to believe that. Like maybe they will a bit, but having a customer come in and talk to them would have been the best idea. But instead, I used the bite-sized videos and I just played 10 seconds after each use case. And they heard from the customers directly, them saying how that's good. And it kind of ties to the other thing I wanted to say, which is brand rubbing with Microsoft. I think that's been one of the best things for us. With the brand relaunch, I gotta admit, I was a bit biased. I added yellow and blue, which are my school colors. So I injected some of my personal passion in there. But I was looking all around trade shows and everyone has blue branding. So it's really hard to stand out. So we added things like purple, like green, like yellow, and it allowed us to get some more fun. But it also helped us get more brand alignment with Microsoft, where we use the same kind of terminology, the same branding, the same graphics. So one, it's really easy to use the pitch decks that you get from Partner Center and just spin them into your own things. But it's also very easy to make that subliminal connection to Microsoft and show your alignment. I think that was really important for us with the licensing agreement happening with Microsoft, but also beyond that, just showing the alignment.
Interesting. So Khaled, how did you get your customers to do that? Did you resort to bribery like Tanya?
We did resort to bribery. Thank you for asking. I should have mentioned that. We gave them the like, what is it? The ring light and mic that we would send them. And they liked that because it's something functional for them. But it also worked because we asked them to use it. And we would give them like a $15 gift card. But really, the main thing was them getting something physical and a piece of mail. Who gets mail anymore? That was kind of cool for them, I think, and they would get to keep it, but they're also using it to get remote direction from us. So it served two purposes, and I think the customers reacted well to it because they're an individual person getting something physical. They probably don't get bribed that often. So it was nice.
Yeah.
And I'll
that's a
echo
great
Khaled.
idea.
any kind of testimonial you can get is really worth their weight in gold. The people don't believe like you're just the marketer, you're just the sales guy. If you can get like coming from the horse's mouth something real, that's how you really bring them in. So like that. And bribery always works.
Everywhere works. Yeah. Cookies, candles.
You
We
name
should
it.
rename
Yeah.
this session to unethical marketing tips.
Ethical marketing bribes,
Ethical.
yes.
Best bribery for, channel marketing. Very nice. So we're gonna take a quick sponsor break, and I want to just say thank you to the Solutions Connection that is the sponsor of our call this month. And if anyone is not aware of that site yet, Michelle will put the link in our chat, and it is really focused on providing a single source directory to drive awareness of add-on solutions, so that partners and users can all find the right solution for their business. It's not just Microsoft Dynamics, it goes across multiple platforms. So if you're an ISV or a partner that has solutions that you want to promote, you should definitely get listed on the Solutions Connections website. And that Michelle would be happy to tell you more about that as well. So thank you for sponsoring. And if anyone on the call would like to sponsor an upcoming call, we would be very happy to have you. There's a link on our website we can put out there as well. So before we move on to, let's go ahead and move on to the next questions. And then while we're brainstorming, if anyone else thinks of some, the three of you think of some more you wanted to mention, or if there's some in the chat, we can also get to those as well. So how did you get buy-in from management on trying these new tactics, especially if they were more non-traditional? So Khaled, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I'll start us off. I did say we're a very value-driven company, and we like to see the proof in the pudding, and that's definitely true with all the activities. But I think also having a few different options is worthwhile, like with themes for campaigns, for example. If you have one that is very out there and one that is a bit less out there, but both are very creative, you're probably going to get the one that's a bit less out there chosen, but you're still getting to 5 instead of 10, and that's still good. So knowing the options and kind of playing the game, I think, is worthwhile. So you have to do a bit of marketing internally, I think, but for sure, the testing. So make sure your data is clean and you have good attribution, and then I promise you the next year you're going to get the budget, because if you're showing attribution for the campaigns that you're running and you're showing that it's getting you this much ROI, the company is going to invest unless they're not looking to grow. So for me, the first thing we did was install HubSpot and implement it all across the company, make sure that we have the right level of attribution, and see everything that is going on. And then every year when we're managing the budget, when I'm deciding what gets what split, it starts there and really ends back in there, because I want to see what is getting me the most return. But also making sure you do some internal marketing, because odds are the company's management is also similar to your target audience. So if they think something is like completely ridiculous, maybe worth reconsidering a bit.
That is good advice. That's great. Tanya, how about you? How did
I
you
am
get
very
buy-in?
lucky. I am very lucky that I have kind of the opposite of Khaled's problem. Us, it's the wackier, the better. My CEO, she's all about, well, I don't want boring. I want to stand out. I don't like if it works for Microsoft, it's not going to work for Bamboom. We have pandas roaming around and things like that. So for us, brand recognition was super important, but for very different reasons. So I didn't have so much of the problem to try wacky things. I think where I had to calculate and prove ROI is that it's going to take longer. It's not it's not going to happen overnight. And you have to have your calendar ready. You have to be like, look, we're in this for the long haul, especially when Amisha was talking about influencer marketing. It's not something that happens overnight. So it's to convince them that if it didn't work day one, not to pull the campaign, not to pull the idea. It's okay. Don't say anything for 3 months. Like, give me 3 months, and then I'll bring you the stats after that. So it wasn't so much convincing before, it was more the convincing not to pull the plug right as something was going on, or it didn't work for the first time. And especially from a ads perspective, Google, it takes time for them to learn about you. And I think we as marketers expect that instantaneous gratification, but it doesn't come. It takes a while for Google to learn which words work, which words don't work. So just give it time and mentally prepare when you're doing your internal marketing promotions that, like, give me a chance. Have the budget that you have that 3 to 6 month window to really test it properly.
Right. So I see some questions coming into the chat, and I think we'll get to those at the end so we can make sure that we focus on the core. So Amisha, how would you recommend others can take a traditional tactic and kind of make it new or non-traditional?
So there are ways that you can update and upgrade, right? So if you look at campaigns and the way, everybody says video is king and everybody should be doing video. I think we have to look, you have to look at what video works for your company, in the traditional sense, and then also allow for some A/B testing. And I think that's one way to do it. And so it's almost combining your last question and this question is, how do you get buy-in, right? And I think, at SAP, it's a very much larger company. I started influencer marketing, right, which is a much bigger lift. It was a whole new kind of marketing 8 years ago, and now people are more accustomed to it. So coming to Tipalti and doing something like that, it was more about presenting, and I always tell people, it's when you want to do something new, have an A/B test, right? So you can really show if what you're innovating on has a lift or not, and the reason why you're doing it, but also, sorry, that's my train of thought. As you're doing your A/B testing, you can bring that back and say, this is a pilot. So I think when you're talking to executives and you say, we're going to do this new thing, and we're a very value-driven organization as well, is, if I said I'm going to do all this stuff, people might see, executives can get overwhelmed. Wow, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like a big investment. I think if you say, there's some innovation happening in the world, we need to do this because we want to stay current. We want to, build our brand the right way. And here's a pilot that we're going to do to add to our mix. It doesn't seem as scary, right? And overwhelming. And then you break it down and say, this is what we're doing as our pilot, and this is what we can expect. The results will be delivered this time. And then we'll come back, present, and then you can see whether we're successful or not, right? But it really allows and helps your management team, right, or your leaders really get that buy-in, but also feel like they have skin in the game because now they've said, yes, it's a pilot. It also seems exciting, but it's also setting up the right context that you are trying something new. And that is a bite-sized chunk of something that could be bigger, but we're being very pragmatic about it and thoughtful about it, right? So we're not just kind of all in on something new without testing it out, right? Because then we have to answer to why this didn't work. And now all of our ROI, we didn't get good ROI at something, right? And then once it's successful, then you can say, okay, now that we know it's successful, we want to do a full-blown campaign with this tactic, right? So it's really important to do that, to get that buy-in, but also to try something out, to try out a pilot. And then the best thing is ask your peers, like, how do you get innovation, right? We belong to other groups and like this one. It's connecting with your customers and your partners, right? So we are part of the Microsoft, BC community. We want to ask questions, what resonates with people. I just did a campaign with our customers and some of our prospects and that are in other communities. And one of them is Microsoft. And we gave up macaroons. We said, come tell us what your wow moments are in the accounts payable process. Tell us what your wow moments are in payments. Tell us what are your wow moments, right? As you're working in your day and as you're using different tools. It doesn't have, it's not Tipalti related, but what are your wow moments? And so we took their wow moments and the wow moments that we have that Tipalti delivers, and we married those. And I'm very excited. It's a 1.5 minute video. So there's a lot of thought that went into this short amount of time, but it really brings to life the wow moments. And we're going to premiere at Illuminate this week, which was our big conference this week. But we did that in partnership with the audience we're trying to reach. And I think we forget about that. We have a finance department at Tipalti. We're always running ideas by them. So when you're thinking about innovating, you test, but you also get some feedback from the audience you're trying to reach. And then the other thing, the thing that we were trying to innovate was on these wow moments and really bringing them to life.
I like that idea. Very nice. So Khaled, what kind of advice do you have for others, how you would recommend that they kind of take a traditional, make it non-traditional, and or also kind of why they should even consider mixing this up?
Yeah, I love Amisha's ideas. One thing that a lot of companies forget to ask is not just the loss analysis, but also the won analysis, like know why your customers that bought the product or went with you as their partner, why did they do that? And a lot of partners I know don't know that. So I think that's pretty important. Have like a PAC, like a partner advisory committee or a customer advisory committee, but also set clear targets. Like if you have a SMART goal and you know that it's not on your radar today to start a TikTok channel, for example, then don't get too distracted. So I think like sometimes I think that is mainstream might be working for you, and that's totally okay. If you're one of the like long-standing giants and you've captured your market share, just keep running on that engine. It's working for you. But if you're trying to go 0 to 1 and 1 to n, and you're a newcomer, or if you have a disadvantage, then you'd have to do something like Moneyball. Like I don't know if anyone is an Oakland A's fan, but think about how they had to go against the Yankees as the Giants with minimal budget. They had to figure out what inefficiencies there are in the market. And I think Bamboom does this really well. For example, like going with something that when everyone is zigging, they're zagging, and not going with super corporate marketing, not super like take ourselves seriously and talk about like, hey, are you scared of your business failing? Like you're going like the different direction. I love that because that's creative and finding your own stream. And I think that's what it is about at the end. Like figure out what lane works for you and then keep on reinvesting into it. But definitely be open to learning, but also know your own business, I think is important. Like the FOMO can be hard sometimes, but we can't go after everything. Like I can't go and start marketing in LATAM super heavily because I know that EMEA is my target right now, and that's where I'm growing.
Right.
It's amazing that you brought up Billy Bean. He's our keynote speaker for Illuminate. So come watch.
Super cool.
Very nice.
Didn't actually see that. That's funny.
So Tanya, what's your advice for marketers, how they can make something non-traditional, why they should consider mixing up their message?
I think we all get into ruts at some point, and I would say have that budget. Someone told me this years ago, and I am a firm believer in it. Have like a Mad Money budget that it's just a small percentage, but that you're allowed to fail at this. This is really something that you're really going off the deep end. You're like, this, I'm rolling the dice. I don't know if this is going to work or not. But I think by having that kind of warming up to this money is testing money, people are more okay with you to do it. And I think it helps stretch you. Our industry changes so quickly, and marketing changes as well. We have to stay on top of our toes, and the only way we do that is if we try new things, if we test new things, and that we see what other people are doing. So have that budget, go try it out, because maybe once you try it, you're not going to say super left. You'll probably come back to the middle a bit, like, okay, that was too wacky, but this little piece here, that worked, or in this industry, that it worked, and then you can throw more money at it after to really make it happen. So just stretches, and it's kind of fun being like, hey, we're going to do something out of the ordinary and wacky about it. So just, just enough money not to scare upper management.
Excellent. Thank you. So we had one question come in about geofencing. Has anyone tried geofencing? If so, what was your experience? Anyone know what that is?
Yeah, we've done some, like not very limited in location. I mentioned that we're trying to go into EMEA, and we have some spy cells there, but not a full office yet that we've built. But I think for us, having the location-based marketing has been very effective, because we know that some of our solutions do a lot better in Europe, and some of them do a lot better in North America. And so knowing what messaging, what positioning to show in each area really matters. But I would say before you even do it, because the doing part is easy, like just using a solution that helps you do that, whatever ad targeting tool that you're using. What's important is knowing how that market is different, and how that location is different, and what the people there want to hear from you, because it might be different from your traditional messaging, like just having your usual message go out to a different geo is not gonna have as much of an impact unless you test it, or maybe do a focus group in that location, learn about what unique challenges they have, and focus on that, on the like fact that you know them and you know how they talk and talk their language.
Interesting.
I saw Candace. We looked into geofencing around conferences, and when we were looking at it and researching it, it's a lot of work, and you have to have a pretty good size conference. Like if you have a room in Vegas in October, forget it. Like you are going to blow your budget in 2 seconds, because you're not going to get your target market. Or if you're going to a small event in Fargo, North Dakota in April, it's a lot of work for what you're going to get back out of it. So you have to be really careful on making sure that you find a conference that's big enough that you can have a big enough, let's say, conference center that you can really geo target it. But our agency was charging us a lot of money to get it set up for the number of people we were going to see. So food for thought. Maybe it's super good. I don't know if anyone else has tried it, but we didn't, because we saw the budget, and then we're like, you know what, we're cool, thanks. So I put my mad money somewhere else.
Yeah, no, I had tried that even at an SAP with Sapphire, and it just it didn't get us a bang for the buck. One thing was, going to some show like Mobile World Congress, because it was such a large show to do it there, but it didn't work half the time because, the wireless was bad at a wireless show, funny enough. But it was a pretty big investment, and it worked okay, but it really works best, I think I've heard from others, when there's an experience that you're offering that goes with it, when they go or arrive, or they're leaving somewhere to be reminded of something, or to get an offer that they're taking with them. Like, so if you're offering rides or something at a big conference, you can, once people step out, could they get something that says, okay, you can get a ride here, remember to come to our event, and here's your ticket, or something like that. It's more based on the experience you're offering, but I found the same as Tanya. It really, you have to have enough reason to do it, because it is really costly and expensive. But if you have point of sale, or if you have an experience, then it could be worth it. You might see better ROI.
Great, thank you. So I do want to tell everybody that we are announcing something today for the Channel Marketing Academy, that we have built a members only library. So a lot of people ask me if these calls are going to be recorded, and the answer in the past has always been no, because we really want you to be able to come to the session. But we realize that that doesn't always work for everybody. There's different time zones. We all get pulled in different directions. So we did decide to go ahead and for an annual fee, which is $125 a year, although right now there's a coupon code on our site. You can get access to all of the Channel Marketing Academy group chats. We're planning 9 a year, as well as all of the BBC event was it last year? BBC event that we did last year, which was a bunch hours worth of content on marketing. So we definitely would love to have some members join for the site so that you can watch the calls again. You can share it with new team members. I assure you, none of us are getting rich on this membership. We're really just trying to pay the bills for our graphic designers and web hosters so that we can keep the CMA site up there. So Michelle put the link in the chat. We'd love to have you guys sign up as CMA members. And also, if anyone is interested in being a panelist in the future, let me know as well. We have our call set up for October and November. Still looking for one presenter for November that would like to talk about marketing automation success and failures. And then we are going to go ahead and get our January Q1 semester topics planned as well. So we have a few more minutes in this session. Do we have some more questions for our presenters, or do our presenters have any last minute brainstorms that they came up with while we were talking? Candace said that she has had good experience doing paid mini workshops, which I've actually seen some of hers as well. Candace, do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. Hey, everybody, it's good to see you. So what I did, I actually participated in a challenge, which was also actually pretty interesting, and I'm considering doing one myself, but it was a challenge to launch a mini workshop last year. And it was a guided process for launching something with the idea that you actually market the workshop and get people to pay a small amount of money. The goal of getting them to pay is that it validates that they're really interested in what you're doing before you build it. But also it's really, really warm leads. If they're willing to pay $37 for a workshop, that's a warmer lead than somebody who shows up to a free webinar or downloads a free ebook. The other part of the strategy was that you promote it and get them to buy before you build it instead of after. So you've actually validated the market before you actually go out and do it. I followed a process called Mini Workshop Magic, MINI Workshop Magic, that I've found to be really helpful. I've done it 3 times now. First time I followed their process exactly, and I got 89 people to buy tickets to the workshop. Second time, I kind of followed it, but went a little with my own approach. I got 60 people. Third time, I didn't follow their approach. I did it with a partner. We kind of built it and then promoted it, and we got 20 people. So lesson learned, go back. I also raised the price each time, and I think that my sweet spot is $37 now. But it's been a really interesting approach, and we've gotten, over the course of it, I think like 190 or 159 people have actually paid for these little workshops, and they're like super high converters to our back-end offers. I think in the ERP space and the ISV space, this could work if you pick something really small to help somebody accomplish, where it doesn't necessarily need your product, but it could be enabled by your product, or made it easier by your product. So it's been cool. DM me on LinkedIn if you want a link to this stuff and what we did. It was pretty effective.
Awesome. Candace, you want to put your LinkedIn link in there for us, for those of us
Sure.
that don't know Candace?
Hi, everybody. I will put that in right now. Let me go get it.
But I think like Khaled mentioned it. Now Candice did. Anything with the word mini, we have become commitment of phobes. Anything like half an hour, like, well, too long. Like even when I'm watching YouTube videos, I check how long it is, and I'm like, oh, I drop off. You gotta think mini. You have to think really short. we come from a world of more is more, and how do we get the most education out there for your buck. But I think, Candace, that's exactly it, is how do we keep it mini and teach people to keep coming back afterwards. So
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
one thing-
Chunks.
One thing I've really learned is don't boil the ocean. It's like I try that all the time. I try to teach too much stuff, and giving them one little takeaway is a better win for them than trying to teach them a lot in one session.
Great.
I think that's so important. I think, you know, sometimes everybody wants to cram everything into the session, like, oh, make sure they know everything about. I'm like, you just have to give enough to make it interesting, right? And then they can come and talk to you. So really important point.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. I really like what we heard about the focus groups, the unique bribery college, your case study. Bribery is an excellent idea. And the influencer marketing, also very, very interesting. So I hope that everyone else got a lot of good tips out of this. We have recorded this session, and if you'd like to watch it again, please sign up as a member. And next month, we already have our session scheduled for next month, which is October 19th, how marketing can align with sales and beyond. So be sure and register for October's chat, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very, very much to our presenters. We really appreciate your time and sharing your insights with us.
thank you so much, Anya.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.